Good morning, everybody.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon. We're pretending it's afternoon. I'm sitting here with Tinashe, Nyamudoka. Doesn't need much introduction. KuMusha Wines, hugely successful, growing in the world of wines in terms of his brand, already right up there in terms of his name. Tinashe, thanks so much for taking some time out to join me today.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here. And it's a pleasure to be in Victoria Falls, man. What better place to be than here?
Compared to Joburg,
Yeah.
slightly
Calmer. You need the calmness. You need to relax a bit. And get more inspiration.
Absolutely. What a better place to get inspiration than Mosi Atunya, just directly behind us. The levels of the river at the moment probably close to their highest.
Yeah.
But yes, it's starting to get a little bit of a nip in the air. Winter seems to be coming a bit earlier this year. We've got a bottle of Cab Sav in front of us.
Yeah.
You've recently rebranded the labeling on your wines.
Yeah.
And I think it's great to talk about that label. Please, if you wouldn't mind giving us a little bit of story behind it.
So you kind of realize KuMusha itself means your home, your roots, your origins, and it's especially to the Zimbabwean or African, or I suppose every culture. You've got where you come from, where your roots are really settled, and for me it means quite a lot, especially when I was living outside the country. You meet up with fellow countrymen, the first question is KuMusha Kopi, and you're talking about your roots. It gave me a sense of deep meaning. So initially it spoke to an Africanness, but I needed to change it to almost bridge so that the European could understand the whole story. So I had a friend of mine, Rohan Estepe, who helped me conceptualize the new label, which we tried to encompass my journey, my story, my love of wine in a whole bottle. You've got elements like the protea flower at the top, which is the South African national flower. I put the flame lily on the side, the Zimbabwean national flower, and you have almost on the outside edge pertinent design you'd find at the Great Zimbabwe Ruins, and me in the center, KuMusha, top of the mountain, looking below my grandfather's fields, and there's some little huts inside, and it came to life. It tells a story. It's not more than just what's in the bottle, but you can kind of relate with the label before you even start enjoying the wine.
Would you have ever imagined, if we rewind the clock, growing up in Nyanga?
Yeah.
Close
Grew up
to
in
Nyanga.
Harare, but
Grew up in Harare.
Visit Nyanga quite often.
And
holidays.
your grandfather is still
alive, 91, and still going strong.
Incredible. What an age. But would you ever have imagined visiting your grandfather before you knew about wines? Well, you knew about wines, but not the way you know about them now, that you would have got into this?
Not really, man. I to be honest, not in a million times, but some things always stay in you. I remember I never enjoyed going KuMusha, obviously as a young boy growing in Zimbabwe, watching TV, and your dad used to send me every holiday to KuMusha, and you're kind of feeling missing out because when you come back, everyone's talking about the movies they watched. But it was such a fact that I would go KuMusha, and in the second day, man, I'm the happiest child. Cattle, I'm up in the mountains, picking fruit, just hiking. And I've always loved that. And sadly, our generation, probably the generation before us, we weren't really taught much to appreciate, that kind of lifestyle, that kind of environment, what it does to you. But fortunately, it stayed in me. So I feel as I grew older and as I got exposed, especially to the culture of wine in itself, its history, it's connected to land, it's farming, it's people, it's food, and somehow I got that reconnection. I think as men or as people without cultural context, we lost. And I felt my people and my countrymen were almost adopting the Western culture, which is not bad. but I think we're losing that DNA, which as a people you needed. So.
Fantastic to listen to that story, and believe it or not, although I'm kind of graying here, but I'm just a couple of years older than you. So I kind of want the viewers to know that, hey, I'm still, I'm also only just touching 40, just in case anybody out there wondering.
Yeah.
But, so I'm part of that generation as well. I like to call myself that, I'm a born free as well in Zimbabwe. And, we've grown up in a special country in many ways, but we've also been afforded the opportunity like you. I've traveled a lot. I've got out and I've seen the world, and, in a way, a kind of a blessing in disguise.
That's what I call it.
Because we have everything in Zimbabwe. We have everything we could possibly want. A beautiful country, a beautiful landscape, a well-educated populace, and soils that could grow anything. But if we hadn't had this opportunity to go out and experience and learn from others, maybe we wouldn't have had the opportunity to start.
I would say not
KuMusha.
even maybe. We wouldn't have. I think that's why I see it as well. A blessing in disguise, and one hopes now is the time and opportunity to bring all those experiences and knowledge we've gained and bring them back home and rebuild this beautiful nation.
Well, Tinashe, I know it is morning, but we're pretending it's afternoon.
Yeah.
And we've got a wine in front of us, and I'm sitting here with one of the world's best in the wine game, and he's Zimbabwean. I mean, can we try some of this?
Why not?
I'm not one to avoid an opportunity.
Yeah, so this red is one of my 2 red wines, straight Cabernet Sauvignon that I produce in the Slango Valley at Opstal Winery in Cape Town. So, I work with a 7th generation winemaker. His name is Attilo. I started working in restaurants, not even waiting tables, but just polishing cutlery and plates at the back. And I worked myself in there and put myself to wine school. Been fortunate to work in good establishments like the One and Only Hotel, the Oyster Box Hotel, and I think the best place I've ever worked, the Test Kitchen, the gourmet mecca of Cape Town, of Africa, one of the best in the world. And lessons gained along that way is what you taste in a bottle.
Yes.
Sure.
Thank you very much. I can't wait to get my lips around this.
To smell the bark of the Masasa tree in this wine.
Thank you for bringing that up. We're sitting under this incredible Masasa tree. I don't know a bigger Masasa tree in Zimbabwe. It's right here in Victoria Falls. We were talking about the energy that we feel underneath this tree.
Yeah.
But thanks for bringing that in.
Yeah.
I think I do.
I think you do. Mahacha, I sometimes smell a bit of those water-based utes, So the challenge with me with wine, because growing up in Zimbabwe, I never grew up eating blackberries, or those black currants, maybe mulberries sometimes, but when you're learning wine, it's still a bit Eurocentric, so I found it difficult. But what I found interesting was that I would associate wine with fruits and flavors I grew up eating in Zimbabwe: majanje, matowe, sometimes in white wine, maroro, matunduru, tsuvu, nengeni. We've got all these variety of indigenous fruits in the country, and yet we're trying to pick up some exotic fruits we've never had. So my whole movement with KuMusha as well is to celebrate our indigenousness and try to associate wine with flavors and aromas you grew up eating or drinking.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really love that.
I remember this bottle because I have had it, overlooking the Victoria Falls Bridge. Come on, how many more
times?
experiences can you? That's what wine is all about. Wine is about experiences and memories. I don't know of anyone who remembers drinking a Moët Hennessy in a club 10 years ago. For sure, we're gonna remember this memory here for some time to come. So that's what wine does to people. That's what it has done to humanity over the years. So it's just a beautiful beverage.
I'm imagining that these are our vines, even though they aren't.
Yeah, what is this?
I'm not sure. We kind of need Farai here to tell us.
Yeah.
But, you know, we've been talking a lot about what you've done. And I'd like to talk a little bit. I understand, you know, you're still 36 years old.
Yeah.
But I found that as I'm approaching 40, I kind of start to think a little bit about that sort of second part of life.
Yeah.
You know, with everything that you've achieved, I'm sure, and you've mentioned, you know, I want to come home to Zimbabwe. Well, you know, what do you want to bring back to Zimbabwe, apart from, you know, legacy for yourself? You know, what do you want to bring back to the people?
Well, the first word that just jumps out from my mind is hope, motivation, inspiration. I think people my age and a bit younger have felt dejected for years, and I think seeing me and people like me being successful gives them motivation and hope that they can do it. And I'm seeing it, you know. Might not be in wine. I get guys like, geez, I'm starting my honey and I didn't believe I could build a brand with that, or I'm starting farming, I want to do that. You know, I want to be successful so that someone aspires to even do better and more than what I did. And I think that's my main motivation, my main drive. My lasting legacy would be obviously build a business for my 3 daughters that they can also take over. Funny enough, my 13-year-old daughter is starting to talk about being a winemaker, so I don't want to exhaust and finish it. You know, I'm happy leaving it at 70%, 80%, so that when my daughters take over, they'll be like, you know what, but why didn't Dad think about this? This is what I was missing.
What an incredible answer. Thank you for sharing that. Talking about your daughters, are they schooling in Johannesburg? Or are they
Cape Town?
in Cape Town?
And the older one is up here in Zim.
Okay.
John
Fantastic.
Cowie, what's up? Maybe most people, if they follow you on Instagram, they better follow me, because they'll come across this little bright girl called Nashe, and probably all my followings follow Nashe. She grew up when I was working at the test kitchen, and I would take her to these fancy food places, and she's that 5-year-old who's got this intense, knowledgeable palate about food, and very confident, and she's got a bubbly character, and it's just trying to expose them to as much as they can, so they can not make it easy for them, but just open up the world of opportunities.
Well, I'd like to introduce them to 2 little girls called the Safari Girls.
Yeah, I get along very well. Okay.
Beautiful stories, Tinashe. I've really savored these moments with you, not least because I've connected with you, and but also because we've had something to really add something special to the discussion. But yeah, like you said earlier, this is a glass or a bottle of wine I won't forget for a long time. And you know, as we look out at that view,
beautiful, isn't it? Smoke that thunders.
The smoke that thunders, and now that has been there for millennia, and we marvel at the bridge, which has been there for 115 years, but it pales into insignificance really in comparison to what nature brings us. Thank you again. Good luck on your journey.
Pleasure.
We'll be following you.
Awesome.
We'll keep in touch, and I wish you every single success.
Thank you, man. It's been a pleasure.
If you like this episode and don't want to miss out on other ones, please go to YouTube, look for Luke Brown Zim, and hit the subscribe button. Thanks.